I agree about the fun performance, but I'm not there just to have a chat about their holidays. This is a planning and advice meeting. We're there to give them. If they want a friend, they'll go down the pub and have a friend.
Welcome to the Finance Geeks, a podcast about real financial planning. If you're into numbers, strategies, and building a great planning business, this is your ultimate geeky hangout.
Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 3 of the Finance Geeks podcast. Thanks for joining us. My name is Warren Shute and I'm here joined by
Paul Tlueth.
And today we're talking about, are annual reviews broken? Reinventing client meetings that matter. But before we dive into that, Paul, tell me, what have you been up to?
So, exciting stuff. I've been buying a new lithium battery from Roma for my camper van.
That sounds really exciting.
And a new solar panel for the top. Trying to make it, you get energy anxiety in camper vans if they've got a normal AGM battery and a lead acid battery, and they last like a day. And the solar panel on the roof is like 100 kilowatts, and it's all right if it's sunny. But we're ramping it up. We're getting one that'll last a week. It's a proper 40-kilogram lithium battery, massive thing.
Okay, so this isn't to drive along. It's fuel. It's petrol driven.
Yeah, it's petrol. It's I think it's diesel actually, but it's a leisure battery, and so that powers all of the items in the van. And the chap selling it to me did some research on it, obviously, and he said, do you want to be able to use a hairdryer in the van with 3-pin socket? I was like, well, my wife might, what do you want to use, an air fryer? I was like, right, we're ramping up the amount of voltage, the wattage or whatever it's called, the ampage. And I said, well, just give us the best one so I can run it all. I want to be able to run a coffee machine, a toaster, everything. I want the microwave to work. And, we're getting a much bigger, more powerful, something like 250 or 300 kilowatt solar panel on the top. It's a decent one. It's
going to be glowing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be great. New dials so we can actually tell what the water levels are and the battery level is, and all on an app on your phone. All clever stuff. Do you know what I also have been doing? I've been karting. I won't ramble on about that. We've been to Kimbolton and to PFI, the best track in the UK, and that's why I got the camper van so I can take my son Miles to karting. But I went to watch the Royal Albert Hall again, and anyone who's listened to they must be sick to death of me mentioning it. But I've got an interesting twist on it. I went to watch Gustav Holst with my wife. He wasn't there, but it was the Planets, Royal Philharmonic playing the Planets. It was brilliant. But during the break, I'm there getting a drink, and I ran into JK, Jamiroquai.
Oh, yeah.
And
cool.
I looked at him, and he looked at me, and I went, are you JK, Jamiroquai? I like your music. I said, where's your hat? And he was wearing a hat. Where's your space cowboy hat? And then I talked to him about cars, and I've got a selfie with him. I said, is it uncool if I take a selfie? And he went, go on then. But we were all chatting, me and him, so it's good.
That's really cool. That is good. That is good news. I like that. I thought you were going to say you went to the Royal Albert Hall and watched Grand Ole Opry because there was country music there last Friday. I was so gutted I missed it. I can't believe it.
Music is rubbish, though, isn't it?
Is the best. It is the best. I like it.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's from 9 till 5. It's going down. It's brilliant. So.
Very good. There's a song in there somewhere. Very good. Very good. Warren, what have you been up to?
Oh, been up to Scotland. I've got some very good friends, Jeremy and Nick and Jonathan and David up in Scotland. So went up to Scotland, played some golf. I was very lucky to play St Andrews. And then we went over to Glen Eagles. Jonathan very kindly hosted us. He's a member, so we played St Andrews. Played Glen Eagles as well. And I love it. I'm not a very good golfer. I'm really not. And you'll see this this week, tomorrow. But I do enjoy
watch the Ryder Cup?
I'm too frugal to pay for Sky, but I catch it on the app. I watch it on the app. I watch it on the catch up, something like that.
So you know that we won.
Yeah, I know that we won. Yeah, it was nail biting too, very close. It was like and the behaviour of the Americans is just atrocious. So
you're half American. Let's just slate you instead. That's terrible.
Keith Button
you're
today.
Half.
I was speaking to Keith this morning on the phone, and he was saying how he was going to behave like the Americans coming onto the golf course tomorrow when we're playing golf. So I said, no, please don't. Yeah, so for when you're listening to this, listeners, it is it's the Tuesday before the Wednesday of the CSI Financial Planning Conference. So Paul and I are going to play golf tomorrow and going out for a bite to eat. So, no, you're not playing, are you? You're not playing golf?
No, I'm just coming down for the evening meal.
Yeah, we're having the meal. He's too cool to play golf, so he's coming down for the meal when I have to catch up, and then I'm playing. So went to Scotland, done that, and other than that, probably a lot of house stuff. Obviously, we're moving house, so decluttering, filling in forms, speaking to people, chasing things, like an emotional roller coaster. So
Yeah.
we'll get there. We'll get there, I'm sure.
Very good.
So should we dive into the
Yes.
main focal point today?
Yeah.
Are annual review meetings broken? Reinventing the client meetings that matter. Sorry, to reread it then.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, it was coincidental that today I was on a PFS Power webinar with Brett Davison, listening to his presentation, and he was talking about this very thing. Really, I mean, he was talking about your service proposition, you're offering, using the nuclear option to really redesign what it is that you do for your clients and make sure that you think about what you're doing. Think about how you can live your best life, do the job that you enjoy, but do it efficiently. And you've
Mm.
got to be confident enough and have the courage to make these big changes. So it was coincidence because I had a meeting with my power planner Kevin today, and we were talking about redesigning our service proposition. We've got this bronze, silver, gold option, and we're going to change it to base ridge summit, and we've changed the amounts, the fee base, what they're going to get. It made me think at the time, which of our clients need or want an annual review, which ones don't really need or want one, or which ones can have it biennially, and we have those at the moment as well. And who's requires more of a reactive service, or just a Teams chat, a Zoom's chat, an email sent to them. Because not every client, in my opinion, needs a full-on, annual review.
Oh no, and I agree with that. I think I got to say, this is really weird. Inside me, there's every time you say it, like cringe. We don't call them review meetings. So this is drummed into me from Paul Etheridge from years ago. He literally clapped me
You were
around.
going to bring this up straight away.
Well, I
It's
know,
a
but
planning meeting. Yes.
it's a planning meeting or a forward planning meeting. We don't review your affairs. We're actually planning it to make decisions. We're here to decide and make decisions, take action and make decisions. But I do agree. I agree. Not as many as you, we have like a two-tier offering, our wealth management, which includes an annual planning meeting, and our asset management that doesn't include an annual planning meeting. When clients' affairs become a lot simpler, they have less money, they've given it away, they've enjoyed it, or they've spent it. Or clients who just generally have less money, maybe want to get them set up. They want a trusted hand that they can call upon if something goes wrong, or they just want a question. But they don't need to sit in front of you every year. They don't need to incur that cost.
No, I get that. Going back to your review versus planning, I mean, I think to a large extent, it's semantics. I
don't
you
disagree.
do, but I agree with the framing of it, because, and I talked to one of our other advisors here today about this, and I said, if you spend a lot of the meeting discussing what has happened, we did this, we contributed to your ISA, your pension, this is what's happened. It takes away from the very point of the meeting in some ways, because it's got to be what's happened has happened, and we're here to say, are we on track to hit your goals?
Yes,
and your portfolio is worth this much. Your goals are, it needs to be 1.2 million, for example, to achieve the income that you want in retirement in today's terms. And are we on track? And so, planning assumes or suggests looking back, aligning actions to goals, modeling future cash flow. But I think that the meeting can do both. And even though I call it a review, I'm going to probably change the name of it as well. Maybe put the planning thing in there, but basically, we still include the projections, of course. We still want to know, are they on track? You find that although, I've spent a lot of time trying to work out a method of reducing the time that it takes to produce any kind of report and the time that it takes to present one. And otherwise, anything more than an hour and a half is just too long. And if you could do it in less, and most of it's pleasantries and chatting with the client, great. It's just, you go into 2 hours, and loads of my meetings have been 2 hours. It just gets into the nitty gritty, into the weeds, into the minutiae. You just don't need the client. They don't really need to know about it. Some of it, just give them the report.
I agree. Every planning meeting for us, we use the same agenda. So whether it's a new client coming through the door, or the annual meeting for an existing client, we don't see any clients more than once a year for a planning meeting. They might want to have a catch up, have a chat to us. Something's happened, and they want to have a talk. But we don't do biannual or anything like that. We go through literally 40 or so points. I think it's 47 points. Yeah.
47 points.
Yeah. If you were at the CSI conference on Thursday, you could come to my presentation. I'm going to go through them and explain to you why we go through them. Yeah, there's about 7 on discovery meeting. I think 47 or 42 on a planning meeting.
Well, obviously, they don't take that long to discuss each of them.
No, not every single one of them is appropriate for every single client. Okay, so not every single one. So, for example, if you don't have a pension, then we can cut a chunk of the pension ones out, and we just go through that. We had a planning meeting this morning on Teams, about 50 minutes. Yeah, so single lady, very simple affairs, defined benefit pension scheme, money purchase pension, and an ISA. Very simple, very straightforward. Get to. Is there anything we haven't covered that you wanted me to go through? No, that's great, Warren. That's all we need to do. Great.
Yeah.
Why elongate or extend that meeting if it's not necessary?
Yeah. Well, I got picked up on this by Esther the other day, and we're in a meeting. I knew it was elongated, and I knew that one of the things I'd forgotten to say at the beginning was to establish the timescales. We're here. Look, it's great to see you. We've got a report to present. We want to go make sure that you get value from the meeting and discuss the things that you want to discuss. We've got about 90 minutes to go through it. Is that okay? So we'll work towards 3:00. If your client says yes, then you've established the timescale for that meeting. And I know that you do it by saying the meeting is between 1:30 and 3. I get that, but you can establish the duration of the meeting. And then, I always start mine by asking them what specifically they want to cover off. What do they want to get out of this meeting? But we use the PATH analogy and PATH acronym. And it goes hand in hand with our branding. The P is the position, where are they now? The A is the aspiration, the goals, the objectives, what do they want to achieve? The T is, are they on track? And the H is how do they achieve what they want to achieve? And it's just trying to I give a structure to the meeting.
Do you come up with these things?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
That's pretty good. I like that. I do like that. Path.
I'm on the right path.
Path, yeah. We don't do it, and I probably won't do it, but it doesn't mean I don't like it. I really do like it. Well, I know, but we've got a process that works. There's no point changing it and adding everything in. But no, genuinely, I do like that. Position, aspiration, time, and how.
And the idea is, I like what you said, Dan. I know it's a lot. I think our listeners would go 47 points. Wow. But what it's doing is giving structure to the meeting.
Yes.
And it's making sure you tick everything off. Like have you checked, if it's for pensions, have you checked lifetime allowance or tax-free cash or expression of wish, their beneficiaries? Are they in the right portfolio for them? Are they contributing? What are they contributing? There's all the bits that go with it. And it means that if you've got a structure that you follow, you don't miss anything out. It's easy. It doesn't mean you can be not on form in the meeting, but it does mean that you're less likely to miss things out and you'll stick to the time scale.
Paul Everett would give the analogy of a pilot getting into the cockpit. He would go through a checklist. So it's like, why don't we do the same thing? It's like, so what next planning meeting you go into, you don't have to have 40 or so points. You just got to have a number of points that you need to make sure you cover. And these are probably the same points you're going to cover with most clients. So, don't get me wrong, the ladies say we didn't cover all 47 because some of them just aren't necessary, but they're on the template and we delete them off as we go through, as we prepare for it.
I've spoken to a number of other advisors who've asked me in the past about my business and what we do and how we do it. And I think some of them were amazed that they were obligated in their firms to do a formal annual review with every single client. And I said, well, we don't do that. We have clients that are on an annual review or a biennial review, and we have others that are wealth management clients, and they get more of a reactive service. They get use of Transact, they get use of Trails, our investment system. They get access to the team, they get the newsletters, and they get the annual report, which is all the MiFID II cost, performance, fees, in monetary and pounds terms. So you tick all the box. Oh, and the annual risk assessment and all the compliance stuff. But not only is it the case that some of them that I've been working with for a long time, you build up a tail in a business that's 20 odd years old of clients that have either taken money out or they've never grown it that much. So it's around if it's under 250,000, that's going to be our new mark. If it's less than 2,500 a year, you get a wealth management service. It's over that, you'll get some form of review, some report. We might use the timeline report. If it's over 5,000, a different report, and 10,000 a year, the summit report. But it's this idea of the review meeting being broken. I think what we want us to say is that it's not every client needs one. It's different for each client. Not all of them want to sit there in front of you for an hour and a half. Some of them want to do a Teams or a Zoom chat. And if you've got a client you've been working with for 10, 15 years, you don't have to go through all the same stuff every time.
No, I completely agree. So the meeting, say the client's been with me, we worked out about 22 years.
Wow.
And we kind of concluded that, hey, look, when she was, it was fantastic. Really, she's a business coach. She's tapering her business down, so she's going into her retirement years. I think she's probably mid-60s, sort of 66, like that. And when she was 30, she set herself 30 goals. And she's
Okay.
achieved all of them bar one, which was writing a book. And she's in the process, in the journey, of writing the book, which was fantastic. I said, well, what a great goal now to set yourself 10 outcomes for the next 10 years going into your later retirement. We call it active
Yeah.
retirement years, going into later retirement years. So set yourself 10 outcomes. What are you going to do? So we agreed in the meeting she was going to go to the Southern Pacific, to Australia. I think she's going to go on a safari and stuff like that. So we costed those in the meeting. And I said, what you
Good.
now need to do, go away, is a task for her was, okay, now what are the other things? They don't all have to be travel. It might be you're going to learn another language. You might learn to paint or something like that, whatever it might be, experience. But then come back to us and let's put the cost, the financial implications of those in your cash flow.
Yeah.
And the way we tend to do it is she's still earning, but when her income stops, we'll turn on a defined contribution pension, pay her salary, her income, her pension income, and we'll use her ISA investments to pay for her enjoyment, her fun. So when she goes on these holidays, stuff like that.
I bet she was loving that though, because when they talk about goals they want to achieve, things they want to do, and especially if it's holidays, and you cost it out as best you can, and then you set aside monies and you've got a plan, and as long as you cover the can you afford it and what's the impact of it, client's happy.
Yeah.
And then you've avoided the whole performance fees, value, all of the nonsense and stuff. And let's talk about the markets and the up and coming budget. We're actually talking about real life stuff, and it makes it more human and definitely more enjoyable.
It's more.
Those are the fun ones.
Yeah, you touched on at the beginning, or just a moment ago, about how you open the meeting, about setting the time frame and stuff like that. Don't beat yourself up. I don't actually normally say, look, I do for discovery meetings, they're a new client, but for planning meetings, I don't normally say, look, we've got up to 2 hours for this meeting. I don't normally do that. But we send a diary invite out for everything, an Outlook invite, and it just says 2 hours there, 10 till 12. That's it. So it's a hard stop at 12. But
I think they get the idea from that.
Yeah, I think so. But our opening pre-message, if we could achieve one thing today, what would it be? Write it down. Anything else? In fairness to Christian, I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but he says now, well, look, if I can just say to you, my outcome for today's meeting is this, this, and this. So he tells the client what his outcome is. And I thought, that's actually really quite good. That's really quite good. I like it. So he tells them, what's your outcome? Ask them what their outcome is. And he'll then say, look, my outcome for today's meeting is, for this lady, is to make sure you're living life by design, not default. You're doing all the things that you want to do because you've got all this extra money and income coming in. We want you to enjoy it in this next chapter. It kind
I've had a few of those meetings recently where clients not taking a very big percentage withdrawal. It's 2 or 3%, and you say no, they could draw more, and they say, oh, I don't need it, and then you sort of say, well, if you don't spend it, your
son-in-law or daughter-in-law,
someone along your line, your beneficiaries will. I think that this idea of the review meeting being broken, it suggests to me in the title that it's a formal review, and that there's a structure to it that everybody's doing. And what we're trying to establish here that is, it's not just a set thing. It can be different. You can ad lib and go down certain alleyways in the meeting. You can change the topic as long as you're covering off what you want to. The client's happy. They basically know what's going on. I think that it's fine. One of the things that we've tried to do when you want to grow your business, you think, I've got to incorporate new efficiencies. So how am I going to use AI in my prior to the meeting itself? What am I going to do prior to the meeting so that the meeting can run smoothly? And I'll tell you one of the things we're doing, which is we are doing prep sheets. My team has given me a prep sheet before the meeting, so they do it for me. 1 or 2 pages, says all the things I need to be able to chat with the client. We now send the agenda out. If it's a big review meeting, we'll ask them to complete what we call the view document. It's based on Excel, and it covers off. Instead of saying there's 7 or 8 things here, which one do you want? Tick, and they tick them all. We say, which are your top 3? And what we're trying to do is, once we've got to this point where we've established what they want to discuss prior to the meeting, we'll send them the agenda in an email and saying, this is what the agenda is going to be, what it's going to look like. Are we happy with that? Good. They've completed the cash flow, which we call a view document. And then I've got all the information in the meeting. And what we're making sure we do is cover off what they want to in the meeting. What I've done today is sort of read through a report verbatim to the client. And I'm now asking myself, if I've knocked up this report for them, I could just either send it to them before the meeting and say, have a read of this, or I could just give it to them after the meeting, and we've spent the meeting actually chatting about the most important things about them.
Do you know what? That's the best thing you've ever said.
Which one do you do? Would you send it to them before, or would you just say, there's a document here, it's a report, I've got everything in here you need to read, but let's have a chat about what you want to achieve. Let's just talk.
So we send the financial plan and minutes after the meeting. So
Amazing.
within 24 hours. So as soon as we came out of that meeting, the minutes were written up and the plan was finalized. I'm going to give them a cast over today, and then they'll go out tomorrow morning.
You don't produce some sort of PDF report with all of the appendices for a review meeting that the advisor reads or goes through with them. You don't do it that way.
No. So at 8:30 in the morning, we come in, we open up our planning software, we go through, familiarize ourselves with last year's agenda. So what was discussed and agreed last year, go through their net worth, income, expenditure, cash flow, and sort of say, if I was this, I really try and put myself in that person's shoes. If I was a 66, 67-year-old lady, got this money coming in, got that, do this, what do I want to do? I'm thinking in my mind, precious time's running out. I've worked hard for my life. I've got this money. I've got no children. I'm married, but I married later in life. What do I want to do with this money? I want to enjoy it, and I want to make sure she also enjoy it.
But you spend the time in the meeting going through a live presentation, as in using the software and discussing it.
Yeah. So we have a big screen on the wall in the office. Put our planning software up on the wall, and we go through it. We have a process we go through. Start with the net worth, clarify the details, clarify, make any changes that they don't agree with. I think we've got a valuation of a property a bit high or a bit low today, so we updated that. And then we show them things like, look, this is your cash flow, you can afford. And then we put those spending. So, okay, you're going to go to the South Pacific, you're going to Australia, you're going to go to the safari, put those costs in during the meeting so they see they can afford them. Yeah. And then say, look, even with the market crash, and you can simulate a market crash, you can still afford it.
Yeah.
And then we got.
I get all of that.
I think precious time's running out.
Yeah, you could totally argue that method there is one that that you've developed, that you've learned, you've developed, but it's also arguably the sort of full financial planning, cash flow management review type meeting. I think that we're establishing here that there's other ways that you can do it. Like, for example, what I said was prepping before the meeting, asking them how much is enough, how much they want. Give us the facts and figures. We'll then produce a report that I'll go through at the meeting. And if I know what they're looking to achieve, and in the meeting I can then show them what the numbers are, what the figures are, we can then establish and develop and agree recommendations and points together in the meeting. But I don't do it live with some software in the meeting. Now, when we whether it's on Teams or whether it's or Zoom or whether it's face to face, we use Saturn to record the meeting and generate the notes. And it's got better and better and better. So kudos to them, because before it was generating 9 pages of notes in Word. And I was like, well, this is way too long. You don't want to send this to the client. Now it does that. It got better, but it summarizes all the tasks and it creates the wording for an email. So it summarizes it really short, like 10% of all the notes. And it gives you the data to sort of say, this is the key points from the meeting. You don't even have to type it up. You just copy and paste. So
when you say, okay, let me jump in there. You say you copy and paste it. Is it enough you can literally copy and paste and send that email? Or have you then got to spend better time writing?
What we do is we now copy and paste it. We check that it's actually correct, because I was the one in the meeting. I make sure that it is correct. We might then attach a couple of things. So we might send them a link. And I figured that everyone's got an opinion on this. But if you send a link via SharePoint to all the documents, the report, the appendix, the things we've discussed in the meeting, the agenda, that is arguably better, in inverted commas, than attaching 1, 2, or certainly more than that PDFs. As soon as you attach loads of PDFs, you either risk that they don't receive it, or they look at it and go, oh my God, all these PDFs, you're going to make me read these. Whereas we send them the link, but then we password protect it and we send the password to them via text or WhatsApp. And so they can open it, they can get in, they can download their documents electronically. And it saves printing, the report. We still do print the report a lot of the times, because some of our clients are in their 60s and they prefer having it in front of them. They prefer a printed copy. But generally, I'm trying to do it so that we go through it with them and then just send them the email version of it. PDF
okay,
version.
so we do the same. We send it through a SharePoint folder. which is unique to them and stuff like that. So it's a similar sort of set out. But you didn't quite get the question I asked. So when you copy the email that Saturn produces and put it into an email, you attach things and stuff like that, or you put links in. Do you have to reword that email, or is it good enough just to hit send?
I think it's largely good enough to send. It's got so much better now.
Okay,
Yeah, it's just recently. Never did this until I was playing with it, and I haven't gone on loads of training courses with them. I've watched a few of the videos, and you just figure it out and how it's coming together. And I know Catherine, my practice manager, has been looking as well. And she would before go through the actual long-winded notes, which are it's not just a transcript; it's the actual summary notes that the AI has put together from the meeting, and it's put together in a sort of format that's for financial planners. So it has sections on risk and vulnerability and cash flow and that sort of stuff, capital requirements, all these bits. And I did make the mistake initially, months and months ago when we started using it, of sending the full notes to the client. It's way too long. It's way too. It's good for us. It's good for compliance and know your client and all of that. But the fact that it now produces the tasks, you can use it as a sort of task management system to email the client the task and who you're doing this, I'm doing this. And we don't quite do that yet. But the fact that it's generating a short email summarizing the bigger notes and saying, this is the main point, and it puts the language in now that's quite useful. It was great to see. And at the end of the one I sent today, it sort of said, "You have a great time in Vietnam," because the clients were going there. You're really lucky. I hope you have a great time. And it's trying to get a bit of authenticity, a bit of nice, positive language in there as well. So I think what you've got to do is read it. You've got to make sure it's your voice, or else it could feel a bit scripted. It could feel that it's robotic or an AI chat voice. But I think they're just going to get better.
Yeah,
and it saves a huge amount of time.
It does. Yeah, it does. And I completely agree. I think they're all going to get better and better. We're trialing both Planner Pal and Advisory AI at the moment. We like both of them. But they're not.
Saturn.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I have to try Saturn as well. I did try Saturn right in the very early days. And I didn't really get on with it so well. I like Planner Pal more. In Advisory AI, we're using more for suitability and agendas and stuff like that, which is very good.
Check you out. I never thought you knew what a computer was. You actually,
I try my best. I try and employ younger people so they know what's going on.
Yeah. Go on. I was just going to say about.
I was going to talk about are the annual review meetings dead? I get excited for annual planning meetings. I really genuinely do. They're the meetings where we can make change. And if it's a new client, you can either secure their future and show what's going on, or for an existing client, it's often giving them good news. It's like, hey, look, let's enjoy this money. What do you want to do with it?
It's definitely not broken. The annual review is not broken. And I'm sure Brett would say the same thing here. He gave an example today of a firm that he'd worked with where they were doing 2 meetings a year with the client. Clients didn't want it. It's double the work. You can make less money because of it. I think an annual review is for most people is completely sufficient, where you're doing the planning meeting, where you're doing the proper report that you generate. But even with those clients, and you'll have these yourself, the ones with the big pots of money, the complicated affairs, you'd do call them, email them, WhatsApp them, Teams meetings throughout the year. It's just that's not the same, though, as some big, thorough report that covers it all off, which is essentially saying, am I on track? And that's what it should be. It should be, am I on track to hit my goals? Have the goals changed? What else is there? And there's always curveballs thrown in, whether it's, as I say, buying a property in Cornwall, or if mum's died, or I've received an inheritance, or whatever it is, I've had a child, it changes.
Congratulations.
I talked to a client today, actually, and he's 82, and he's a granddad for the first time.
Oh, I thought he was going to say a child.
Yeah, but his daughter's 37, and then he said that his other daughter was pregnant and was expecting next year. So I was like, this is fantastic. So he wants to set up a savings account for them both, and I said, right, I have to do it. And
good. Yeah, I was going to jump in there and say that, particularly for the listeners, we rarely do bits of business throughout the year. It's all taken care of on the planning meeting. So we don't really get involved with doing ISAs here or sorting this out there or this, that, and the other. We normally say, hey, is that should we bring your planning meeting forward? Or are you happy for put that in the planning meeting, deal with the planning meeting? We'll speak to the client, we'll have phone calls and stuff like that. I spoke to a client this morning and stuff like that. But the reason I emphasize that is I speak to some people I coach, and they're seeing clients all throughout the year just doing bits, very reactive, what's going on.
Yeah.
And I think when you've got a comprehensive agenda, when you cover everything off, you can agree that, okay, I get my bonus in March. Well, that's fine. Well, let's agree that you're going to pension some money in March. I'll make a phone call. You drop me an email, how much is going to go in, and we'll get it topped up then.
Yeah. No, I largely agree with that, and I think that it's way more efficient to do it that way, where the majority of action is taken at the review meeting or the planning meeting. For us, there's changes to direct debits sometimes to regular premiums, quite straightforward throughout the year. There's times when we have to contact them to say we need to sell down another 6 or 12 months of income, or certainly there's times of the year where we're in February and March, we'll do an ISA campaign to say clients that haven't topped up their ISAs, where we'll say, let's do this, let's use your various allowances in after the budget. So there is stuff throughout the year for us, but it's usually smaller stuff. The bigger stuff, the bigger lump sums, the bigger decisions are often at the review meeting, as well as ticking all the boxes for compliance. When you have these review meetings with clients, are you altering the structure of them at all to try and be more efficient, to tailor it to the clients? Are you segmenting your clients into certain and saying they get this service, they get these? Do you do that?
We have 2 service offerings.
Oh, that's it. You said that earlier too. That's it. You've got to fit into one of these or not at all.
Well, it's not you got to. You can. It's very black and white. You've either pay us £5,000 a year ongoing or more, or you pay us less than that. It's very clear. We don't mind what you do as an individual. And if you pay us less, you can pay a standing order to top it up. And the only difference ongoing is whether you receive an annual planning meeting. Everything else is the same. The platform's the same. The portfolio's the same. We treat you the same. If you don't pay that money and you want a planning meeting, you can basically buy one. You just pay an ad hoc fee and you pay for a planning meeting sort of thing. So it works. It works. It's very, very clear, very, very simple. Clients understand it. They're very happy with it. And it's just like you, it's very, very good because we can, with genuine, ethics and morals, say to our clients, go and enjoy that money, spend it, go and give that money away. And if they drop down below, they can still become a client. We just don't see them every year. Just their affairs become more straightforward.
I think the FCA, this is my opinion, are moving to a point where I think there's an assumption to a large extent that a client's got to get some form of annual review if they've got a certain amount of money. And I don't know, I couldn't quote the FCA lingo or the page or whatever that refers to that, but that's my view that there's levels. The clients, I've decided that if it's less than £2,500, they're not going to get some annual meeting or biannual meeting or anything like that. They'll get reactive service, they'll get wealth management, they'll get use of our platform, which they can't get themselves because it's Transact, and they'll get use of our investment proposition, all the emails and newsletters. And I think that unless you've got to have a structure that works for you, whatever it is, whether you have 2 different models that you mention or 3 that we essentially have, you've got to be you can't over engineer the process, because you've got to make it quite refined and simplistic and have something you can run with, but not being afraid to alter it a little bit. You can't, we've been doing the same thing for nearly 10 years. And I've only recently thought, do you know what? I really need to refine this a bit more, to fiddle about with it. So just so that it works for us.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, it's got to work for us. And as a business, we're sort of almost got too many clients.
Let me clarify. So every December, and we literally, before this podcast, we had a pre-meeting today to plan it. We do our annual suitability for everyone. So everyone gets like an annual suitability. We review their portfolios. We send out the MiFID requirement on costs and charges and such like in suitability. So that all goes out in December. So every single client gets that. It's just
why December? Because you've been doing it historically then? That's the quieter time of year?
I think everyone other than HMRC runs their life on calendar years, January to December. Yeah. If you say what you're going to do next year, you don't think, well, from April to April, I'm going to be doing this. You'll say from January to December instinctively. So we report to our clients on performance charges, fees, suitability, everything as a January, December. It all goes out.
And that means you have to do it in January?
No, we do it in December.
December's not finished then.
All right, we do it. You're so pedantic. We do it at the end of the report is run at the end of November and is sent in December, and we deal with all the inquiries in December.
Okay. I mean, we were doing ours in October, the MiFID 2 reporting, and just because that was the first time we did it, it was a bit quieter at the time, and we're now changing it to be. We changed it this year to be in late April, early May, in line with the tax year. And the data that you get from Transact, which is for the tax year, is generated usually by the 5th of May. And this year it was early, it was end of April.
Was, yeah.
So we used that, ran the reports, pinged them to all the clients. We got it down to a T now. We did it all in a few days. The team just boshed, out. And I decided what was going to be in there. And every client got the email personally sent to them by their own email address. It wasn't done via MailChimp. It can't be. It has to be structured for them. It's all password protected.
Yeah.
But that in itself, that report is not really, it's not a planning report. It's not the same as what we're talking about here as an annual review. But I can see your point about efficiencies and times of year and what you're going to do when. I mean, one has to tick all the compliance boxes, don't they? You're obviously very aware of that when you do any kind of review meeting, or even if a client's not on an annual review, they've still got to annually not only disclose costs and charges, but you've got to know your client, agree suitability, which we put in those MiFID II meetings. I do the suitability thing then. The annual risk assessment is a big quandary. Do I do it? How do I do it? Is it worth it? Has it changed? And an up-to-date know your client documentation. So we sometimes get temps in who do who communicate with all the clients and check, is the money laundering up to date? If they sign a client agreement, the terms and conditions, that sort of thing.
So just as best practice and to ensure ongoing communication with our clients, we insist on a client agreement being signed every 3 years. So that's not that's not a regulatory thing. That's an internal thing, because sometimes our clients are very happy. We'll communicate to them, email. We don't hear back from them, and of course we've got to ask the question: are they actually getting all this stuff? We have to make sure that there's a two-way communication, and we draw the line in the sand at 3 years. So, make sure that. Yeah,
I mean, I got drawn over the hot coals by my compliance guy when he's looking at file reviews and a fact find hasn't been updated for more than 3 or 4 years, and he's like, "How do you know your client?" I was like, "Oh, well, there's notes here, and there's emails, and there's phone calls. You've got to look in other places so we'd show that." But what are you going to call it? Fact find, cash flow, mini fact find. What are you going to call it?
Yeah,
and
right.
Are you going to update it? And is it on the system? And can you demonstrate you've done this? So what I've started to do more, and I just overkill. I love Saturn because you can record the meetings, you can record it and then transcribe it, and it's sort of done. Updating the notes in IO in the note section is one of the things I've been doing more and more. My team all do it. I just got to get used to it. I have a chat whilst I'm on the phone. You've got your headset on. You're like this. You type in a few notes at least, saying what time, who spoke to them, what it was about, and then you push it onto one of your team.
I tell you how I get around that is, and this will be good for the listeners. So when I have the phone calls with the client, it's exactly the same. Straight after every phone call, I always email the client. I say always, if there's some kind of advice or action on it. Hey, great to speak to you, John. We've agreed you're going to do this, this, and this. You're selling this. I've copied Poppy in, Christian in, Matt in, or whatever. They're going to do this for you. It's great. And I save that to contact history. So literally after every communication phone call, we do that. We've also just subscribed, or we're just about to subscribe to Dubber, I think. So all our phone calls are over Teams. So we record all our client meetings. So if they're on Teams, obviously it's very straightforward. If they're in the client meeting in the office, we just record it on the laptop. But Double will allow us to record all our phone calls.
Oh, we already record calls via Evonik, and it's a VoIP system. One of the things I like about it is, all the data's in there, all the client data's in there. One click, and I can call the client. And then when I go and extract the MP3, I can drop it into Saturn if it's a long call, and it transcribes it all.
So why are you worried about making notes? I wouldn't worry about making notes. You've got that.
No. What I mean is, I don't mean full notes from the meeting. I just mean some kind of section, as opposed to just dropping it into activities where the emails go on IO, or dropping it into the documents section and trying to see, well, what was the last time I chatted to the client? When was it? So I generally, while I was in there, just put a note. I chatted to them on the 30th of September about, this, that, and the other. And I just say, see the notes in documents. It's just so that there's a running. I mean, I remember being demoed Iris, which is another CRM software. And what I liked about it was the documents, the notes, the calendars, everything was chronological.
Yeah.
And it's not on IO. You just have to dig around for, when was the last correspondence? But it is 60% of advisors, I think it is something high, use IO. And you just got to do whatever works for you best.
Yeah, press was chronological. Bring the client up, there's a list, and you can filter out your name and who's working on it and different tasks and stuff. Makes sense. Very easy. Very easy.
But by hook or by crook, we are getting it done. Clients are getting calls, emails, meetings, having reviews, and and they're not all the same. but clients are generally happy. They're not leaving, so must be doing something right.
So should we sort of summarize the annual planning meeting, annual review meeting isn't dead by saying it's not dead? I think for most planners, the best thing they can probably do is have a structure to it.
Definitely.
And whether that structure's for different client segments or just for every client is up to the planner. And I think that agenda or that format can be tailored to the individual client.
It's got to be bespoke.
Yeah.
What the point is, the meeting, you can have an agenda that's typical, like you've said, a structure gives you structure to the meeting. But if you don't add a little personality in there and put things in it that the client wants to discuss, you'll end up going through a list of points in your agenda that are nothing to do with them. And you say, no, I need to cover off IHT or wills or LPAs with you. You can have those sections on there, but you still have to tailor it to the client. And it's got to be personal.
I agree.
And they've got to feel heard at the end of the meeting, that they're happy. Ask the question: is that all good? Are you happy? Have we covered everything you want to do? You're good. And then you document it. You email them. Bosh, on to the next one.
Right. Is that? Do you have anything else for us, Paul, or should we call it a wrap?
No, I think annual reviews. It's one of those things you can talk about for a long time. They are subjective. Advisors do it in different ways, but I think the way you summarised it, then it's good. And just look to do what the client needs and just keep it efficient. Right, Q&A.
Q&A. You want to do Q&A? Okay, so what do you have for us on Q&A?
So I like this quote from Carl Richards. I'm sure you know who he is, wrote the book, The Behavior Gap. He said, clients don't hire us to beat the market. They hire us to help them avoid making big mistakes. And that's what I think we do in the meetings.
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with it, but there you go. I'm not. Come on,
you're not there to try and talk about investments and return all the time, and you can't beat the market consistently. You can't.
I agree, but I know. I think there's a big myth that we, as financial advisors, financial planners, our clients don't worry about investment returns. They're not interested in investment returns. They are interested in investment returns. Smell the coffee. So yeah, just because these people have written books and stuff like that, I don't always have to agree with what they say. Great guy. I like him as an individual. But yeah.
Mitch Anthony, another American author, advisor in the States. Clients don't want a plan. They want a life. The plan is simply a tool to help them live it.
Cool. Yeah. You was waiting for me to buck that one back, weren't you? But
I was, because I knew you were going, of course you want a plan. I'm a financial planner. They need a big, long document with all the graphs. No, they don't necessarily need that. They need some kind of annual meeting.
They do, yeah.
Call it whatever you want. They need that. I think most of your clients that have got complexity need a meeting to discuss it, to let it all out, and then you can have a chat about it.
And I know we've finished the main body of the thing, but when things come out throughout the year, I have an annual planning meeting folder. I'll save it in that folder. So when I prep for it, there's all the notes of, we forgot about that. Oh yeah, got that. So we start building this agenda throughout the year.
As an anecdote, a small, well, I'm not sure it's going to be that amusing, but a little story about what has happened to me on several occasions, and it's happened recently. You have an annual review meeting with your client. You've prepped. You've got this report that you're desperate to tell the client on how much value you've added to them as an advisor. Halfway through the meeting, the client shifts gears and they talk about their child moving abroad or a health scare that they've had. Or that they want to retire earlier. They've not told you this prior to the meeting, but it's just come up in the meeting. Right, Paul, we want to do it 3 years before 70, before 60. We want to do it 57. What are the numbers? Can we do it? And you're like, right, give me just a second. But it sort of hit me that with a client I saw this week, that it's not all about the numbers. It's a planning session. It's for their life. The numbers are just support the conversation, and you do have to sometimes go off piste and talk about what the client wants to, and then get it back on track. I don't want it to always be prescriptive. There's an agenda to go through. There's a meeting. I think that clients are quite happy if you're there in the meeting, you've looked them in the eye, you've shook their hand, you've fed them tea and coffee and biscuits and stuff, and you just had a nice chat. If they trust you, which they should, all the stuff like the fund performance, the returns. I mean, what do you want from them? Do you want a little gold medal if you've said you've done 12% this year and the clients are going, oh, thank you so much, Paul?
I agree about the fun performance, but I'm not there just to have a chat about their holidays. This is a planning and advice meeting. We're there to give them. If they want a friend, they'll go down the pub and have a friend. We give them 1.5 to 2 hours worth of good planning advice. Anyway, we're on Q&A. We drifted off. I've got a quote for you. I got to get this right. Efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things. That's Peter Drucker. I like that.
Yeah. Do I agree with that? Largely, yeah, I think so. Yeah. Very good. That wasn't a Warren Shute quote then?
No, that's pretty right.
You think of it on the spot, which always amuses me. Very good. Very good.
That's it, surely.
I think it is. I think we're running out of steam there. I've got another Mitch Anthony one. I've got loads of other quotes, but we'll save those for a future podcast. Hey, Warren.
Hey, that's a wrap for today. Thanks for joining. If you get any questions, please message us. And until next time, take care.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Take it easy. Bye now.
Thanks for tuning in to the Finance Geeks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. Drop your comments and questions on YouTube, and be sure to follow us on social media. Join us next time for more insights to boost your financial planning game.